The teachings of Jesus are a treasure trove of wisdom, not only for spiritual growth, but also for practical living. Among his profound lessons are the parables, which offer timeless insights into prosperity, stewardship, and the wise management of resources. These parables, while spiritual in essence, often use financial and economic scenarios to illustrate deeper truths about life, faith, and responsibility. By examining these stories, we can uncover valuable financial lessons that align with biblical principles and guide us toward a life of prosperity, generosity, and purpose. One of the most well-known parables is the parable of the talents, found in Matthew 25 verses 14 to 30. In this story, a master entrusts his servants with different amounts of money, referred to as talents, before leaving on a journey. To one servant, he gives 5 talents, to another, 2 talents, and to a third, 1 talent. The first 2 servants invest their talents and double their value, while the third servant buries his talent out of fear and returns only what he was given. Upon the master's return, he praises the first 2 servants for their faithfulness and rewards them with greater responsibilities. However, the third servant is rebuked for his laziness and lack of initiative, and his talent is taken away and given to the one who has 10 talents. This parable teaches us the importance of stewardship and the value of taking initiative with the resources entrusted to us. Prosperity is not about passively holding on to what we have, but actively using it to create growth and impact. The servants who invested their talents understood that their master expected them to be productive, and they took action accordingly. This principle applies to our financial lives as well. We are called to manage our resources wisely, whether it's our money, time, or abilities, and to use them in ways that align with God's purpose. Fear and inaction can lead to missed opportunities, while faith and diligence can lead to abundance. Another powerful parable is the parable of the rich fool, found in Luke 12 verses 16 to 21. In this story, a wealthy man has an abundant harvest and decides to tear down his barns to build bigger ones to store all his grain. He tells himself that he can now relax, eat, drink, and be merry because he has stored up plenty for the future. However, God calls him a fool, saying that his life will be demanded of him that very night, and all that he has stored up will go to others. This parable serves as a warning against greed and the false security of material wealth. The rich man's mistake was not in being prosperous, but in hoarding his wealth and failing to recognize his responsibility to use it for a greater purpose. The lesson here is that prosperity should not lead to self-indulgence or a sense of independence from God. True financial success is measured by how we use our resources to bless others and fulfill God's will. Wealth is a tool, not an end in itself, and it should be used to build relationships, help those in need, and advance God's kingdom. This parable also reminds us of the fleeting nature of life and the importance of prioritizing eternal treasures over earthly possessions. The parable of the workers in the vineyard, found in Matthew 20 verses 1 to 16, offers another perspective on prosperity and fairness. In this story, a landowner hires workers throughout the day to work in his vineyard. At the end of the day, he pays all the workers the same wage, regardless of how many hours they worked. Those who worked longer grumble, feeling that it's unfair, but the landowner reminds them that he has the right to be generous and that they agreed to their wages at the beginning of the day. This parable challenges our human perspective on fairness and highlights the generosity of God. It teaches us that prosperity is not just about earning, but also about receiving. God's blessings are not limited by human calculations, and his generosity often exceeds our expectations. From a financial standpoint, this parable reminds us to cultivate gratitude for what we have rather than comparing ourselves to others. It also encourages us to be generous, knowing that God's provision is abundant and his resources are limitless. The parable of the shrewd manager, found in Luke 16 verses 1 to 13, is another intriguing story with financial implications. In this parable, a manager is accused of wasting his master's possessions and is about to lose his job. To secure his future, he quickly reduces the debts of his master's debtors, earning their goodwill. While the manager's actions are ethically questionable, the master commends his shrewdness in handling the situation. Jesus uses this story to emphasize the importance of being wise and resourceful with worldly wealth. The lesson here is not to be dishonest, but to use our resources strategically and with foresight. Jesus goes on to say that we should use worldly wealth to gain friends and build relationships that have eternal significance. This parable reminds us that our financial decisions should reflect our values and our commitment to God's kingdom. Money is a powerful tool, and when used wisely, it can create opportunities to share God's love and make a lasting impact. Another notable parable is the parable of the two debtors, found in Luke 7 verses 41 to 43. In this story, Jesus tells of a moneylender who forgives the debts of two people, one who owes a large sum and another who owes a smaller amount. Jesus asks which debtor will love the moneylender more, and the answer is the one who was forgiven the larger debt. While this parable is primarily about forgiveness, it also carries a financial lesson about gratitude and perspective. From a financial standpoint, this parable reminds us to be mindful of the grace and blessings we receive and to extend that same grace to others. Whether we are managing debts, giving to those in need, or supporting a cause, our actions should reflect a heart of gratitude for all that God has done for us. Finally, the parable of the Good Samaritan, found in Luke 10 verses 25 to 37, provides a lesson on using our resources to help others. In this story, a man is beaten and left for dead on the side of the road. While a priest and a Levite pass by without helping, a Samaritan stops, tends to the man's wounds, and pays for his care at an inn. The Samaritan's actions demonstrate generosity, compassion, and a willingness to use his resources to serve others. This parable challenges us to see prosperity as an opportunity to love and care for our neighbors. Financial success is not just about accumulating wealth, but about being a conduit of God's blessings. When we use our resources to meet the needs of others, we reflect God's heart and participate in His work in the world. In summary, the parables of Jesus offer profound financial lessons that are as relevant today as they were 2,000 years ago. They teach us the value of stewardship, the dangers of greed, the importance of generosity, and the power of gratitude. Prosperity is not merely about wealth. It is about living in alignment with God's principles and using our resources to make a difference. By applying these lessons to our financial lives, we can experience true prosperity that honors God and blesses others. Jesus' teachings remind us that the ultimate measure of success is not what we have, but how we use it for His glory.